I slept in my car that night. Not because I had to, there were a dozen friends I could have called. But I wanted the silence, the chill, the solitude. I needed something cold to remind me I was still breathing. It wasn't until dawn that I realized I had no plan. Just a keychain and my pride. I checked my phone. No texts. No missed calls. Not even from her. She meant what she said. That's what haunted me the most. My ex was more of a real man. The words echoed like a ricochet bullet, bouncing around my brain, finding fresh places to injure. I wasn't even sure who she meant. Daniel, the arrogant gym freak who drank protein shakes like water and flexed in every mirror? Or maybe Jackson, the quiet one who used to sketch her face in notebooks and leave them out like breadcrumbs for her to follow. I'd seen them all, in photos, in memories she carelessly offered like candy from a jar. One of those men had apparently been more than me. I drove aimlessly for hours, the city a blur, until I found myself parked outside an old bar I used to frequent before her. The kind of place where the jukebox didn't work unless you hit it, and the bartender knew how to pour without judgment. I walked in like a ghost. Nobody noticed. That was perfect. I drank too much and spoke too little. Until she walked in. She wasn't stunning in a traditional way. Not runway beautiful or Instagram-filtered flawless. But there was something about her. A kind of raw, quiet gravity. She wore all black, boots, jeans, jacket, and her lips were wine dark, like she'd kissed secrets too long. She didn't look at me. Not at first. She took a seat 2 stools away, ordered bourbon straight, and sipped it like she was remembering something that hurt in the best possible way. Our eyes met when the bartender cracked a joke about the jukebox. We smiled at the same time. "I'm Caden," I said before I even knew why. She smirked. "Vivian." She said her name like a dare. I took it. We talked for hours. About everything and nothing. About why people stay when they should go, and why they go when they should stay. She said love was a painting nobody finishes. I said it was a house we keep rebuilding after every storm. She laughed. "Then you've never been in a real hurricane." Maybe I had now. Maybe her name was Delilah. Vivian never asked why I looked like someone who'd been left out in the rain. She didn't pry. Just listened. Bought me another drink. Told me her own hurricane stories, about a father who walked out, a fiancé who cheated with her sister, a therapist who told her some people are addicted to pain. "Are you?" I asked. She stared into her glass. "Maybe." At 2 a.m., when the bartender flipped the lights, she stood and said, "Come with me or don't. But I'm not looking for promises. Just presence." I followed her. Her apartment was messy, honest. Paintings leaned against walls. Vinyl records stacked like relics. Candles melted into ashtrays. She poured whiskey into mismatched cups and kicked off her boots like she was shedding armor. I didn't ask what we were doing. I just kissed her. Hard. Hungry. Not because I was trying to forget Delilah, but because, for the first time in months, I wanted to remember who I was before her. Vivian didn't moan like a cliché. She bit. She gasped. She pulled me into her world with fingernails and hips and breath that smelled like fire. We didn't make love. We made war. A beautiful, chaotic kind of war. Sheets torn. Clothes forgotten. Skin fevered. Lips lost in fevered need. When we were done, she lit a cigarette and said, "You're not over her." I didn't deny it. She exhaled smoke like truth. "That's okay. I'm not over mine either." I didn't sleep. I watched her sleep instead. Watched the way her chest rose and fell, like waves that could drown or cleanse. Morning came too soon. She woke up and asked, "Do you want coffee, or do you want to disappear?" I chose coffee. Maybe because disappearing was Delilah's thing, not mine. Vivian poured it black and strong and said nothing else. She didn't ask for my number. I didn't ask for hers. But when I stepped out, sunlight stabbed my eyes, and I felt something I hadn't in weeks. Breath. Real breath. I drove home. Delilah was gone. So were her things. Half the bed empty. Her side of the sink wiped clean like she never existed. But she left one thing. A note. folded, tucked beneath my pillow. It read, "I meant it. He was more of a real man. But only because you never fought for me the way he did." I smiled. A real man doesn't need to fight for someone who would say that. He walks away. But maybe, just maybe, he walks toward someone else. Vivian didn't call. She didn't text. She didn't even follow me on anything. She left the night as it was, raw, perfect, unfinished, which made her impossible to forget. I tried. I really did. But trying not to think of her was like trying not to bleed after a knife has kissed your skin. Every sip of coffee, every city corner, every song on the radio, she hovered in the edges. Not like Delilah. Delilah was a scream. Vivian was a whisper. So I went back. 3 days later. Same bar. Same stool. Same cracked jukebox playing a broken version of something soulful. She was there. Dressed differently, blue jeans, band tee, messy bun, but the eyes were the same. Curious. Cautious. She looked at me. "You again," she said, sipping a drink. "You sound disappointed." "I'm not," she replied. "I'm just not sure if I want you again." That stuck. I didn't reply. I sat beside her and ordered whatever she was having. We didn't speak for 10 minutes. Then she asked, "Did you sleep with her again?" "Delilah." "Yeah." "The real man girl." "No." She stared at the TV over the bar. Baseball highlights, maybe. She didn't seem to care. "Then you're either really lonely or really stupid." "Can't I be both?" That made her laugh. Loud. Wild. Like a dare to the universe. We left together again. But this time, it wasn't war. It was discovery. Her lips slower. Her touch gentler. Her sighs like prayers against my shoulder. We undressed each other without ripping fabric, like the act itself was art. Reverence. After, we lay tangled in the dark, and she asked, "What did she have you convinced of?" "That I needed fixing." Vivian pressed her lips against my temple. "You don't," she whispered. "You need unbreaking." That night, I dreamt of Delilah. Of her standing in our old kitchen, telling me the man she missed kissed better, held tighter, pushed harder. And I just stood there. Silent. Numb. Powerless. I woke up sweating. Vivian wasn't in bed. I found her in the kitchen, painting by candlelight. A portrait of a man standing in the rain. Not crying. Not broken. Just standing. She didn't explain it. I didn't ask. We fell into a rhythm. Not dating. Not friends. Something in between. Sometimes I stayed. Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes she called me at midnight and said nothing for minutes. Just silence, breathing, presence. And sometimes she didn't return my messages for days. Vivian wasn't consistent. She wasn't safe. She wasn't a Band-Aid. She was a wound that bled beauty. I got addicted. To her laugh. Her wild hair. The way she kissed when drunk and how she whispered truths that sounded like lies because they hurt too much to believe. But I knew. She hadn't let go of Milo. She never said his name, but I'd seen the texts. The way her fingers hesitated before deleting something. How she avoided his name like a ghost in the room. And I still stalked Delilah's Instagram some nights. She'd posted a picture with a new guy. Some square-jawed type with a Tesla and teeth too white to trust. Caption. "He opens doors and hearts. I should have started here." It burned. Not because I wanted her, but because she'd moved on without consequence. Me. I'd been gutted and stitched back together with whiskey and watercolor girls who didn't believe in forever. Vivian saw the picture. One night, while scrolling through my phone in bed, she caught it. She didn't flinch. "She's beautiful," Vivian said, handing it back. "She lies well. She makes it look easy." "You think that's a compliment?" "I think," she said, dragging her fingers down my spine, "that you still compare yourself to ghosts." I rolled over to face her. "And you don't." She looked at me then, really looked. "No," she said. "Because ghosts don't *CK me like you do." And that was that. We kissed. Hard. Every word unsaid burned in our mouths. Her legs wrapped around me like salvation. My hands gripped her thighs like apologies. We lost ourselves again. Not to love, not to pain, but to the ache of wanting someone who isn't yours, not really, but needing them anyway. In the haze of sweat and gasps and moans that said too much, I asked her, "What are we?" She whispered against my neck, "Two mistakes trying to make a miracle." I laughed, because it was the most honest answer I'd ever been given. But the cracks widened. One night, after a show she dragged me to, some art exhibit full of pretentious canvases with paint tossed like emotion vomit, we argued. In front of everyone. Because she laughed too loud with a guy who looked at her like he used to know her skin. And I said, "Should I leave so you two can f***ck in peace?" Her eyes froze. That hurt her. I could tell. Not because she didn't want him, but because I said it like she was nothing. She slapped me. Right there. In front of oil-slicked canvases and wine glasses. "I am not your ex," she hissed. "No. You're worse." We didn't speak that night. I left. Drove until gas ran low and the road felt lonely enough to mirror my chest. I missed her. And I hated myself for it. But I didn't call. Neither did she. 4 days passed. Then came the knock. Vivian. Standing in the rain. No umbrella. Mascara smeared. Holding a bag of my things, shirt, toothbrush, half-read book. "I'm sorry," she said. "For what?" I asked. "For pretending I wasn't falling." I let her in. We didn't talk. We stripped. We healed. We bled. We loved. If love can be found in the wreckage. But we knew. Somewhere under all that sweat and sin. This wasn't forever. It couldn't be. We were bandages for each other's bruises. Beautiful, temporary, intoxicating. But doomed. And we kissed like we knew that. Like every kiss could be the last. Like one day, someone would say something cruel again. And this time, neither of us would chase the other. 3 weeks passed like a dream wrapped in smoke. We weren't whole. We weren't healed. But we were high, off each other, off escape, off this unspoken pact to pretend the world outside didn't exist. She painted. I watched. I kissed her. She tasted like defiance. Every morning, we woke wrapped in limbs and questions. Every night, we fell asleep pretending we weren't still haunted. I saw Milo's name light up her phone once. Just once. Her hand flew to the screen, too fast to be innocent. I didn't say a word. She didn't explain. Because that was the rule. No past, no pain, no promises. But rules only work when hearts stay obedient. And mine was starting to betray me. It was a Thursday when things broke. We'd been out, some dive bar with velvet wallpaper and a jukebox that only played slow songs. She danced with me, close, laughing into my neck, whispering filth between grins. We were electric. Until I saw her. Delilah. Same dark hair. Same crooked smile. Only this time, it was aimed at him. The new guy. Tesla boy. She locked eyes with me, flicked her wrist in that signature condescending wave, then leaned into his shoulder like he was home. Vivian saw. Her lips tightened. Her body tensed. "She's stunning," she said, sipping her drink. "She's a weapon," I replied. Vivian smiled without warmth. "So are you." I didn't know what she meant, until I kissed her. Right there, in full view. Deep. Possessive. Tongue and teeth. I wasn't kissing her. I was stabbing Delilah with every motion. Vivian knew. She pulled back, shoved me gently. "I'm not your revenge fantasy." "Then stop acting like it." The words were venom. She stepped away, threw her drink in the trash, and left without looking back. I chased her. Outside, the wind bit like betrayal. She lit a cigarette with shaking hands. "I'm not going to be the girl you used to prove you've moved on," she said. "I thought we weren't anything," I snapped. "Then stop acting like I belong to you." I reached for her. She recoiled. "You can't treat me like a drug," she said. "Get high, crash, and reach again when the shakes start." "I need you." "No," she said, stepping closer, fire in her eyes. You need her to see you don't. I swallowed hard. She was right. And it crushed me. That night, we didn't touch. Didn't sleep. She painted until the sun rose, colors dark and violent. I sat on her floor, watching pieces of my delusion bleed onto canvas. Morning came cruel and cold. She handed me coffee, then whispered, I think we should stop. I blinked. What? This, whatever it is, it's not healing anymore. It's scratching open things we shouldn't touch. You don't feel what I feel? She hesitated. I feel everything, she said. That's the problem. We fought. Loud. Ugly. Desperate. I broke for you, I said. No, she snapped. You cracked. You've been broken since before me. Then fix me. I'm not your glue, Caden. I grabbed her wrist, softer than I meant to, but still with desperation. Don't leave. She looked at my hand, then into my eyes. I already did, she said, and pulled away. I stayed in her apartment after she left. Hours. Maybe more. Her scent still on the pillow. Her lipstick smudged on a coffee mug. I replayed it all. The passion. The hunger. The pain. She was right. We weren't loving each other. We were trying to outdrown the people who destroyed us. And somehow, in the wreckage, we'd built a boat. Only now. She'd jumped off. And I was still bailing water. I went home. Delilah was waiting. Not in person. In presence. She'd sent me a package. Inside, a hoodie I thought I'd lost, a necklace I gave her on our first anniversary, and a note. You'll always be half-finished. That's who you are. Goodbye, C. I didn't cry. I laughed. Because she was wrong. I wasn't half-finished. I was just finally aware of the cracks. Vivian didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't post. Radio silence. Until a week later. She showed up at my door, soaked in rain, makeup smeared, eyes wild. I slept with him, she said before I could even speak. I froze. Milo? I asked. She nodded. Last night, she whispered. It didn't mean anything. It wasn't even good. It just happened. I clenched my jaw, pain rocketing behind my ribs. Why tell me? Because lying felt worse. I stepped back. She didn't follow. I thought you were different, I said. So did I, she replied. Silence filled the room like gas, waiting for a spark. Did you love me? I asked. She didn't answer. Not right away. Then, finally, no. I laughed again. This time, bitter. Then why are you here? Because I wanted to. That's not enough. I know. She left. Again. This time, I didn't stop her. 3 days later, I found a package on my porch. Inside, her painting. The one of the man in the rain. No note. Just the canvas. His eyes looked tired. But his mouth almost smiled. I hung it in the hallway. Every time I pass it, I remember her. Not as the one who stayed. Not as the one who left. But as the one who reminded me how it felt to want again. To ache again. To burn. Months passed. The seasons changed, and so did I. I didn't chase her. Didn't reach out. Didn't stalk her socials. Didn't check if she was still painting or still whispering secrets to strangers she barely trusted. But she haunted me. Not like Delilah did. Delilah was regret, a lesson sharpened by guilt. Vivian. She was a scar I didn't want to fade. Her voice lived in the silence between songs. Her laughter slipped through the cracks in conversations. She'd left her mark. Not loud. Not destructive. Quiet. Final. Real. I dated. Sort of. The kind of dating you do when you're trying not to compare. When you smile through dinner and fake laughs because you miss chaos. Miss color. Miss the mess. But no one felt like her. No one looked at me like they could see beneath the performance. Beneath the armor. Beneath the man who once said, my ex was more of a real man, and lost everything over it. No one peeled me open like Vivian did. Then one night, it happened. I was in a bookstore. Random. Rainy. Bored. And there she was. Vivian. Hair longer. Dress darker. Lips redder. Standing in front of a canvas print poetry display, thumbing through Heartbreak like it was her native language. She turned. Saw me. Didn't flinch. Just smiled. Not soft. Not hard. Just true. You're still here, she said. I never left, I replied. She walked closer. You look older, she said, brushing her fingers against the stubble on my jaw. You look dangerous. I always was. We didn't talk about the past. Didn't bring up Milo. Didn't mention the painting. We left together. Just like the first time. My apartment. Her boots hit the floor first. Then her coat. Then our inhibitions. It wasn't rushed. Wasn't wild. It was reverent. Our mouths met like we'd been waiting, not craving, remembering. Hands rediscovered old paths like they were sacred. She pushed me back onto the bed, climbed into my lap. You still taste like December, she whispered. You still feel like a fire escape. Dangerous. Necessary. We moved together slowly. Not like lovers desperate to forget. Like souls finally done pretending. Every kiss wrote a chapter. Every moan read it back. She wrote me like poetry, rhythmic, breathless, deliberate. And when we came undone, it wasn't lust that spilled between us. It was truth. Raw. Quiet. Explosive. After, she lay on my chest, her hair clinging to my skin like the last trace of a storm. I didn't ask if she'd stay. She didn't promise anything. But when she looked at me, I knew. This wasn't a return. This wasn't forgiveness. This was a choice. I painted you again, she said softly, tracing her finger along my stomach. Yeah. What was I doing in it? She smiled. Smiling. That made me choke a little. I don't smile. You did, she whispered. In that one. We stayed like that for hours. Quiet. Naked. Alive. Not healed. Not whole. But something better. Awake. Before she left, she kissed me once more. Not desperate. Not goodbye. Just enough. I'm not here to fix you, she said. I know. And you're not a mistake. I never was. She stepped out into the hallway, turned back once. I don't need a real man, she said. I need a real heart. And then she was gone. But not forever. Just long enough for the ache to mean something. Weeks later, a new painting showed up at my door. This time, it wasn't me in the rain. It was us. On fire. Burning, but smiling. She didn't leave a note. She didn't need to. Because by then, I'd already started painting again. In my own way. With words. With choices. With a heart that finally stopped chasing ghosts. And started loving the ashes they left behind. The end.